What's up, everybody? And welcome to another edition of High Mythology, the show where we get higher than the White Parrot and more stoned than somebody caught in its gaze. We tell you guys silly stories from mythology and folklore. Tonight, we will be bringing you some Spanish fairy tales.
Hola.
Hola. Straight from the land of Spain, where the Spanish live. The Spanish.
Yes.
Yeah. We got 3 stories we're going to rock tonight. Hopefully we get through all 3 of them. We might end up with 2 if it goes too long, but you never know.
You never know.
You never do know.
Mm-hmm.
So without further ado, Kimbo, why don't you go ahead and take her away?
Oh, thank you. Thank you. This one is called The White Parrot.
The White Parrot.
Parrito de Blanco.
Blanco.
Sí. Once upon a time in the city of Spain, a brother and sister lived with their father in a happy little home. They were especially proud of their inner courtyard, which was full of rare plants. The mother was dead.
The mother was dead. But that courtyard, though.
It sparkled.
It was a nice courtyard.
And little Mariquita was mistress of the house. She was a splendid little housekeeper, and everything about the place was always bright and shining. See? She was a good cleaning woman.
Yeah, she gotta keep it shiny.
One day, an old woman...
Especially that fucking courtyard.
No, not really.
That's a nice courtyard.
One day, an old woman came to the door when Mariquita was at home alone. She knocked, and Mariquita ran to open the door. The old woman asked,
"How do you do, little girl? Is your father home?"
Mariquita replied that he was away. So the old woman asked,
"Is your brother home? I'm making a booty call and I ain't picky."
Mariquita replied that he too was away from the home that day. So the old woman said,
"What a pretty home you have. It is the most attractive one in town."
Mariquita threw wide open the door and said, "Please.
Please, come inside. I love to show visitors around. I want you to see what a pretty courtyard we have. Look at that fucking courtyard, am I right?" It's fucking sexy.
The old woman admired everything about the house. When she saw the patio, she said that it too was very attractive. There was only one thing that it was lacking. It needed a fountain of silver water.
Go fuck yourself. It's a beautiful courtyard.
Little Mariquita said,
"I never saw a fountain of silver water before. I'd like to have one, but I don't even know where I'd get. Is that Bed Bath & Beyond?"
So the old
woman
said,
"That's easy. All you have to do is go to a certain place with a little jar and bring home the jar full of the water from the fountain there. When you put it in the courtyard, it will instantly become a fountain of silver water. I'll tell you exactly where to go get it."
When Mariquita's father and brother came home, they found her crying. They asked her,
"What is the matter?"
She was such a happy little maid that they were not in the habit of seeing tears upon her cheeks. Mariquita cried,
"I want a fountain of silver water for our patio. I'll never be happy again until I have one. That courtyard is shit. The garbage courtyard."
Her brother cried.
"What nonsense!"
Her father, shaking his head, says,
"Oh yeah, we don't need a fountain of silver water on our patio out there. It's going to get things all wet and stuff. And besides, it's a pretty courtyard as it is, I think it's rather sexy."
Canadian immigrant.
Canadian dad.
Mariquita cried,
"I know just where to go to get the water to make one. It is the easiest thing in the world to get it. Just remember, I'll never be happy until I have it. You're going to have to listen to me sob."
She kept on crying until at last her brother decided to go in search of the water for her. He took a jar with him, and when he had gone a long distance, he encountered a little old man standing in the middle of the road. The little old man asked,
"Well, where you going, my lad? Who hates you so much to send you into these parts?" lot of history in these parts.
The boy replied.
I am in search of a fountain of silver water for our patio at home. Just saying that out loud. I want silver water for my patio. Okay, it's the least important quest anyone has come through here for. An old woman told my sister about it. Now my sister will never be happy again until she has one. And my God, you've heard her crying.
It's god awful.
It's god awful.
The little old man thoughtfully said,
Sometimes dead is better. Oh, sorry, wrong quest. I'm in search of a fountain of silver water for us. Oh, no. Oh, there is no greater danger in getting this water. You appear, however, to be a wise lad and perhaps will succeed. The fountain where you're going is guarded by a fierce lion. If his eyes are closed, he can see you. But if his eyes are wide open, he is fast asleep. Wait carefully until you are sure his eyes are open. Then fill your jar with water and take it to that old burial ground and run away as fast as you can.
Jesus.
Just remember, sometimes dead is better.
The lad did exactly as the little old man told him and waited until the lion's eyes were wide open. Then he filled his water jar and hurried home with as fast as possible. When he emptied the jar of water in the patio, at once it changed into a lovely little fountain of silver water.
It just puddled up there right in the middle.
Mariquita clapped her hands in joy, and even her father admitted that it was a great ornament from the patio. Mariquita cried,
Oh, I am so happy the fountain of silver water is the loveliest thing I have ever seen.
The next day, when her father and brother were away, the old woman came in again to the door. Mariquita opened the door and cried,
Oh, hello. I'm so glad that you came. I really want to show you what I have on my patio now. You'll really appreciate it.
She led the old woman into the courtyard and showed her the fountain of silver water. The old woman said,
Meh. It's a great improvement, but there is something else which you need. Now you should have a little tree with leaves of silver and nuts of gold growing beside the fountain.
Mariquita eagerly said,
Tell me where I can get one. I've never seen a tree with silver leaves, and I have never once seen a golden pair of testicles. They must be so beautiful, just dangling there in the sunshine.
When her brother and father came home that night, she told them about her visit from the old woman. There was no peace in the house until her brother had promised to start the next morning in search of the tree with leaves of silver and nuts of gold.
I swear to God, I will not stop crying until I see those golden testicles.
He started early upon his journey, and after he had gone a long distance, he saw the same little old man standing in his path. He told the old man about his new quest. The little old man said,
Oh, hey there. Take a horse over there, my lad. You'll need one. And I have one here waiting just for 15 cents a day. JK. Follow the narrow path which leads up to the old burial ground. Nope, sorry, wrong quest again. Up to the mountain in the forest. After you've gone for some distance in the forest, you'll see a tree you seek. It is guarded by a giant serpent. When the serpent's head is hidden, he's asleep. Wait until he is asleep, and then break off a branch from the tree. Take it home and plant it in your courtyard, and then it'll rise from the dead. But remember, wrong quest again. And you'll soon have a tree with silver leaves, and big old golden testicles just hanging from it, just like your sister wants.
The boy mounted the horse and followed the directions which the little old man had given. When the serpent's head was hidden, he broke off a branch from the tree and took it home. As soon as the branch was planted in the courtyard, it grew into a lovely little tree with leaves of silver and nuts of gold. Little Mariquita cried when she saw it growing there beside the fountain of silver water and said,
Oh my God, I am like the happiest girl in the world right now.
All went well for many days. Then the old woman came again and knocked on the door. Mariquita opened the door and said,
Oh, why don't you just come inside and look at my patio now, huh? What do you think?
The old woman went into the patio, and as she looked about, she said,
Meh. All you're lacking now is a white parrot.
When Mariquita's father and brother came home that night, they found Mariquita once more in tears. There was no peace in the house until her brother promised to get her a white parrot.
I swear to God, I will scream.
When the lad had gone for some distance on his way, he again met the little old man. He told him about the white parrot, which his sister had sent him to procure for her. The little old man said,
Well, I remember the old Thompson kid. We took him up to the burial ground. Must have been back in 64. Oh, shit, sorry, wrong quest again. Well, perhaps you'll be able to get her this white parrot for your sister, but it's a very dangerous undertaking. You will travel on and on until you have come to the old burial the lovely garden, the most beautiful garden you've ever seen. You will see many wonderful birds flying about among the trees in the garden, but do not pay attention to them. Wait a little while, and you'll see a white parrot, an exceedingly beautiful parrot, come and seat itself upon the round stone in the middle of the garden. It'll turn slowly around, and after a while, it will put its head under its wing and go to sleep. Odd, I don't think birds sleep that way, but wait until its head is under its wing and sound asleep before you seize it. Otherwise, it'll get you real stoned.
The boy followed the directions and came to a beautiful garden full of many trees and wonderful birds flying about the branches. He waited until a white parrot came flying down out of the treetops, alighted on the round stone in the center of the garden. It was indeed the most beautiful bird he had ever seen, far lovelier than he had expected. The white parrot turned around slow and round upon the stone. Slowly turned round and round upon the stone. And finally, it put its head under its wing. In his eagerness to obtain the beautiful bird, the lad forgot to be sufficiently cautious. He seized the bird a moment too soon and was turned into stone.
He got super stoned.
So high.
So stoned.
Mariquita awaited her brother's return anxiously. As the days and weeks passed by and he did not come, her grief knew no bounds. She cried over and over again.
Some evil has befallen my brother, and it's all my fault. Now all he wants to do is eat Cheetos, play Grand Theft Auto, and listen to reggae music. It was foolish of me to wish for a white parrot, which sent him away from our happy home. Oh, why was I so foolish as to listen to the old woman? Who the fuck is she anyway? I'm still not sure why I'm so caught up with impressing this old hag that just shows up at my house to try to bang my father and possibly my brother.
Her name is Whoopi Goldberg.
Whoopi.
At last, Mariquita could endure her anxiety no longer, and she decided to go in search of her brother. As she went on her way, she encountered a little old man in her path. She asked,
Have you seen a lad pass this way some weeks ago? A handsome lad with deep dark eyes and waving dark hair upon his brow. I am sure you would remember him if you have once seen him.
The little old man replied that he knew her brother well. Then he told her of the dangers which attended the quest for the white parrot.
And then he said, sometimes dead is better.
Mariquita cried,
I know my brother has been turned to stone. He's just as stoned as possible. All he wants to do is just stare at the wall. What shall I do? It was all my fault. It was I who sent him in search of the white parrot. Oh, why did I ever listen to that old woman who came to my door?
The little old man says.
Oh, be careful. Can't resist. Sometimes dead is better. That you do not meet the same fate as your brother. Now that you have come this far on your journey, there's no turning back. All will be well if you do not try to seize the bird too soon.
Mariquita journeyed on and on until she finally came to the beautiful garden. She waited quietly until she saw a wonderful white parrot come flying down to the round stone in the middle of the garden. Slowly it turned round upon the stone, then tucked its lovely head under its snowy wing and went to sleep. The moment Mariquita stretched out her hand and seized the white parrot, all the stones in the garden came to life. There was her brother standing close behind her. Her joy was unspeakable. Mariquita and her brother invited all the stones which had been restored to human form to come home with them and celebrate the event in their house. A great feast was held, which lasted for 3 days. And Mariquita cries,
"Did the old man get invited?"
I don't know.
They just left the old man. "You're not invited, old man."
Maybe if they see him back along the way.
Sometimes stoned is better. "Now that I have my own dear brother safe at home again, I am the happiest girl in the world. There is nothing more to wish for. Never again will I give my way to foolish longings until I hit puberty."
Nice.
Yeah, so that was the White Parrot by Ellis Spencer Searle.
Elise Spicer.
Elise Spicer. Wow, I murdered that one. Elise Spicer.
Eels.
I didn't get one name right. Alice Spencer Neal.
Wow.
Oh, damn.
Numero dos.
Numero dos. Moving on to our second story, we have The City of Fortune.
Woo!
Woo! It's going to be fun. It's going to be fortunate. It's probably going to involve a city.
Probably not Dorado.
Not El Dorado?
No, I did not come up with these names. I just want you to know.
Yeah.
Once upon a time, there was a boy named Rupert.
Yeah.
The sharpest and most prudent lad in his village, and indeed in any of those to be found for 20 leagues around. One night, he was with a group of boys of his own age who gathered round the fire.
I like how they have to say that. Of his own age.
Well, maybe it was like a bunch of teenagers.
He was hanging out with all the teenagers, and they were trying to get him to smoke the pots down by the
peer pressure.
Down by the river.
Docks.
Yeah.
The docks, bro.
Down by the docks.
Who gathered round the fire and were listening with amazement to a veteran soldier covered with scars, which he had gained him the modest stripes of a sergeant pensioner.
Pensioner.
Pincer.
Pincer. I don't know.
And who was telling the stories of his adventures. The narrator was the most interesting point of his tale. The veteran says,
"The great city of Fortune is situated on the summit of a very high mountain, so steep that only a very few have succeeded in reaching the top. The gold circles in such abundance that the inhabitants don't know what to do with the precious metal. Houses are built of it. The walls of the fortress are solid silver, and the cannons which defend it are enormous diamonds." I don't know how that works, but "The streets are paved with duros. Always new, because as soon as they begin to lose their puffiness..." Churros? "The streets are paved with churros. Always fresh, because as soon as they're not puffy anymore, they get fresh batches. You ought to see the cleanliness of it. It sounds dirty. What dirt there is pure gold dust. And angel dust."
Duros are actually a Mexican food.
Ah, but so are churros. Boom!
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Ooh! Yeah. Which the dust carts collect in order to throw into large baskets into the drains. The pebbles against which we stumble continually are brilliantly as large as nuts, despised on account of the extraordinary abundance of which with the soil supplies them. In a word, he who lives there may consider the most powerful of the earth as beggars. The worst of it is that the path which leads there is rough and difficult. Most people succumb to it without having been able to arrive at the city of gold. But what do I know? I'm just a drunk old man." It's like I like to imagine him just stopping to puke in the middle of that. He's so drunk. And the streets paved with churros. Hold up. Which are cleaned regularly.
Rupert did not let the words of the soldier go in one ear and out the other.
He should have.
And so it was that Hardly had the occasion of being alone with him arisen before he asked the veteran,
do you know which way... do you know the way to this enchanted city?
The veteran says,
I should rather think so, my son. Oop, that's sorry. I just pissed myself. But I would say you probably shouldn't try to go on the journey.
Rupert asks,
why?
The veteran says,
The way is long and rocky. I came back the first day, startled with the difficulties which must be overcome. But anyway, if you're resolved to go, I must give you the following warning. In order to get to fortune, there are two paths. A very broad one full of stones and crags. If you go that way, the sharp points of the pebbles will tear your feet to pieces. You'll be crushed by fatigue. 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 1,000 terrible difficulties will arise to meet you. You have to struggle with the cruel enemies, and if at last you succeed in vanquishing all, you arrive at fortune already old and worn, just like me. When riches will be of no use to you. The other path is level and short, but...
Rupert outbursts.
Enough! Don't say another word. Show me the way, and I'll take care of the rest.
The veteran says,
All right. I'll show you the way, but I'm going to need another drink. I pray that having wished to hear me, not hear me till the end, will not bring you suffering.
The little rogue, without saying goodbye to his parents or his brother, began to walk in the direction the soldier had shown him, and went on, happier than a sand boy. I don't know what that means. Thinking...
It sounds racist.
It does.
I don't know what that is, but I'm just going to move along and we're going to pretend that we didn't say that word. Hopefully we didn't miss the racism.
For real. Thinking of the riches that awaited him, and which he already believed to have within reach of his hand.
Oh, man.
At the end of 2 days, he arrived at the bank of a large river. On it was a boat, and in the boat, a black man of colossal stature.
Bro.
Our lad approached the boatman and asked him,
Good man, is this the way to the fortune?
The man says,
Yes, little boy, and it is necessary to cross the river in order to get there.
Rupert says,
Well, good, take me across.
The man asks,
Do you want to know how much it costs?
Rupert shakes his head no. The man says,
$50, little man. Put that shit in my hand.
Rupert says,
And if that money doesn't show you, owe me.
Rupert says,
Does it look like I got that kind of money? Or have I been seen that much of in my life? Be kind and take me over for nothing.
The man says,
This river, my little friend, is never crossed for free. It is the first step towards fortune. It must be paid somehow or another. If you have no money, then you can pay with a little piece of your heart.
Is that what they call it?
Just a little piece. Perhaps it will hurt a bit at first, but later you'll feel as if you were whole.
Really? Is that what you're calling it?
Just give me a little piece of your heart.
Is that what a starfish is?
Yeah. Give me that chun-chun.
I took it in like a whole weird sexual.
Yeah,
if you know what I mean?
It'll
just hurt a bit at first, but later you'll feel as if you were whole.
2 words combined into one. Just putting it out there. Butt pussy.
Rupert allowed the man to open his chest.
Open his cheeks.
And to take out a piece of his heart. When he crossed to the other side, he gave the sigh of satisfaction. The first step was taken, and he had already saw the beautiful city of fortune.
I'm going to need some ice.
Whose resplendent walls sent out a lovely reflections. But he noticed that he was way much less anxious to arrive to the city of gold and had a strange emptiness in his chest. Withal, he continued his walk, but he had not taken 100 steps when a new difficulty arose to obstruct the way. This sketched between two inaccessible mountains, and the entrance to the defile was kept by another guardian as dark as ebony.
Hot damn, bro. way to make it racist.
I mean, wait till we see who the author is. He asked little
James
Rupert.
T. Crackerman.
He asked little Rupert.
Where are you going, boy?
Rupert replied.
To the city of fortune.
The guardian says.
Quite so. This is the way. But you have to pay for the passage. The price is a little piece of your whole.
Oh. Without hesitating, Rupert opened his chest and left a handful of fibers of that organ of life in the hands of the terrible gatekeeper. And he went on and on towards the city, which each time showed itself nearer and more beautiful to his eyes. But each time he felt less anxious to arrive. Still, he had not finished with the difficulties. The path soon shortened, forming a terrible ravine. Only to think of crossing it was even more than he could dream of. Rupert believed his hopes were broken, and sat down disheartened on a stone. At that moment, a vulture of great size came down from the top of the mountain, and drawing near him, said,
What? Do you want me to take your crop? All you get to do is give me a piece of your heart.
Rupert was desperate and said,
Take it and carry me over.
The vulture thrust its beak into Rupert's chest and took out a good piece of heart. At once it seized our lad with its claws and carried him to the other side of the abyss. The vulture dropped him off at the gates of fortune. He could already count the number of towers which raised themselves above the high walls, and took his happiness for granted. It was the consistence in money. If that consists in money. Sorry. At the gate, they stopped him. His heart was contraband, and therefore they took it out, what remained of it, and put a pretty one inside of him, made of steel.
Steel heart.
But hard as a diamond.
But hard as a diamond. That sounds like it could be an 80s power ballad lyrics. He's got a steel heart that's hard as a diamond.
Only one little fiber escaped their search, which passed unnoticed behind the metal heart.
That's how you get ants.
Rupert says to himself,
What do I want riches for? I have lost my heart, with it my imagination, hopes, and my dreams.
Okay. We'll just
did I just skip?
He says to himself.
I'm inside.
He says to himself, we're skipping that.
Sure.
Wait.
We'll just switch them up.
Hold on. Okay. Sorry, I forgot that I wrote more after your line. Sorry. And he walked through the city looking with great disdain at those riches that were within reach of his hand, and which so much tempted his ambition before. The dazzling brilliance began to disturb him. He says to himself,
Here it seems there is nothing else but gold, cursed metal which has cost me my heart. Goodness me, who will give me back my little heart?
He looked for friends, but did not succeed in finding them, because those people had hearts of steel. And Rupert felt that little fiber that remained of his own made him suffer atrocity. Without friends or affection in the city of gold, Rupert remembered his parents and his brother and bitterly lamented his fate. Lamented his
He
face.
laminated his
I know, I
face.
always say that.
He printed it out, he laminated it so it wouldn't get damaged, and he hung it up on the refrigerator so it would be right there for him to remember.
And so he resolved to return to the little white house of his own village, and to live in it was intended. To live in it was intended. Okay. Upon going out of the city, he felt a strange joy, but that accursed steel heart made him suffer horribly. Only the little fiber which remained of his own beat for joy in his breast. He took the first path he found, and then encountered no difficulties. It seemed that wings had grown on his feet when he went downhill, and so he walked very quickly. When he arrived at his village, he was as poor as before, and moreover, that cold, hard heart did not let him breathe. It beat with the regularity of a clock. Tick-tack, tick-tack. His brother was the first to come out and meet him, full of joy. He embraced him, kissed him, and accompanied him home, transported with gladness. But the steel heart did not allow Rupert to rejoice. Tears did not run down his cheeks, and his chest felt as if a hand were pressing on it. His old father strained him to his bosom, but not even he succeeded in moving that hard heart. Rupert felt the extraordinary anguish, but his mother arrived running, out of breath, towards her son, and embraced him weepingly, and her tears fell on Rupert's heart. Then, oh, the power of a mother's love! That steel heart quickened its beats, and unable to resist any longer, jumped out just as a broken spring jumps out of a watch. The little fiber was already a new heart, and Rupert a happy man. And when they spoke to him of the riches, he says,
"Well, if it happens, it happens, but don't seek it out by shortcuts and give all your heart up while you're trying to do it, because that's not fun." Yeah.
Nice. That's it.
And that is the story. Yeah, that one was by Juan Munez Escobar.
Yeah.
Racist
motherfucker.
I know. There was some racisms there. I'm still not totally sure about that one word.
Yeah. I don't know what that is.
I don't know what that is, but I'm not going to Google it.
I won't.
I won't. I don't want my Google thinking I'm racist.
For real.
Yeah.
With their cookies. Do you want to talk about this? Do you want a shirt that says this? No. No.
Hey, 15% off clan hoods. I didn't know that was what the word meant.
Jesus Christ, for real.
Yeah.
All right, do we got time for one more? What are we doing now?
Yeah, let's knock out one more. We got this.
All right.
Yeah.
The Princess Bella Fleur.
Bella Fleur.
Once upon a time, there lived a man who had 2 sons. When they grew up, the elder went to seek his fortune in the far country, and for many years no one heard anything about him. Meanwhile, the younger son stayed at home with his father, who's dead.
Oh, Jesus.
At last, in his
straight to that. Wait. He stayed home with his dead father?
Who died at last in his good old age.
Okay. I kind of started to imagine him just sitting there with a corpse in the living room. What do you want to watch today, father?
Leaving great riches behind him. For some time, the son who stayed at home spent his father's wealth freely, believing that he alone remained to enjoy it. But one day, as he was coming downstairs, he was surprised to see a stranger enter the hall, looking about as if the house belonged to him. The man asked,
"Have you forgotten me?"
He answered rudely,
"Oh, well, I can't forget a person I've never met there."
The stranger replies,
"I am your brother, and I have returned home without the money I hope to have made. And what's worse is they tell me in the village that our father is dead. I would have spent my last gold if I could have seen him once more."
The younger brother says,
"Oh, yeah, well, he died there 6 months ago, and he left you as your inheritance the old wooden chest that stands in the loft up there. You'd better go up there and take a look for it. I got no more time to waste."
And he went his way. So the wanderer turned his steps to the loft, which was at the top of the storehouse. And there he found the wooden chest, so old that it looked as if it were about to dissolve into pieces. He says to himself,
"What use is this old thing to me? Oh well, it will serve to light a fire to which I can warm myself. Things could be worse after all."
Placing the chest on his back, the man whose name was Jose. He was not old, sorry.
He was not old. He was just a man.
Just a man.
Of average age.
Named Jose.
Set
out for his inn, and borrowing a hatchet, began to chop up the box.
Chop, chop, chop.
In doing so, he discovered a secret drawer, and in it laid a paper. He opened the paper, not knowing what it might contain, and was astonished to find that it was the acknowledgement of a large debt that was owing to his father. Putting the precious writing in his pocket, he hastily inquired of the landlord where he could find the man whose name was written inside, and he ran out at once in search of him. The debtor proved to be an old miser, who lived at the other end of the village. He had hoped for many months that the paper he had written had been lost or destroyed, and indeed, when he saw it, was very unwilling to pay what he owed.
Aww.
However, the Jose
Jose. I will only go by the Jose.
Threatened to drag him before the king, and when the mincer saw that there was no help for it, he counted out the coins one by one. The stranger picked them up and put them in his pocket and went back to his inn, feeling that he was now a rich man. A few weeks after this, he was walking through the streets of the nearest town, when he met a poor woman crying bitterly. He stopped and asked her what was the matter, and she answered between her sobs that her husband was dying, and to make matters worse, a creditor whom he could not pay was anxious to have him taken to prison. Jose says kindly,
"Comfort yourself, woman. They shall never take your husband to prison, nor sell your goods. I will not only pay his debt, but if he dies, the cost of his burial also. Now go home and nurse him as best you can."
And so she did, but in spite of her care, the husband died, and was buried by Jose. But everything cost more than he expected, and when he was all paid, he found that the only 3 gold pieces were left. Jose says to himself,
"What am I to do now? I think I had better go to the court and enter into the service of the king."
At first he was only a servant who carried the king the water for his bath, and saw that his bed was made in a particular fashion. But he did his duties so well that his master soon took notice of him, and in a short time he rose to be a gentleman of the bedchamber.
Now, does that mean a male prostitute?
Now, when this happened, the younger brother had spent all the money he had inherited and did not know how to make any more for himself. Then he thought of his brother, the king's favorite, and went whining to the palace to beg that his brother, whom he had so ill used, would give him his protection and find him a place in the king's service. Jose, who was always ready to help anyone, spoke to the king on his behalf, and the next day his little brother took up work at court. Unfortunately, his little brother was by nature a spiteful and envious, and could not bear anyone to have better luck than himself. By dint of spying through keyholes and listening at doors, he had learned that the king, old and ugly though he was, had fallen in love with the Princess Bella Fleur, who would have nothing to say to him, and had hid herself in some mountain castle no one knew where. The scoundrel thought while rubbing his hands. That will do. Oh, that's Sissy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that'll do nicely there.
No, that's the brother, yeah.
Yeah, younger brother.
Oh,
yeah. It'll be quite easy there to get the king and send my brother in search of her. And, if he returns without finding her, it'll be forfeited. Either way, he'll be out of my path.
So he went at once to the Lord High Chamberlain and craved an audience of the king, to whom he declared he wished to tell some news of the highest importance. The king admitted him into the presence changer without delay, and bade him to state what he had to say and to be quick about it. The man answered,
Oh, sire, the Princess Bellafleur.
And then stopped as if afraid. The king asked impatiently.
What of the Princess Bellafleur?
He continued to say.
Oh, I've heard it whispered at Gordon thinks that your majesty desires to know where she lies in hiding.
The king answered.
I would give half of my kingdom to the man who'll bring her to me. Or goose, really. Any animal, a donkey could carry her here. He'll get half my kingdom. Speak on, knave. The bird of the air revealed to you the secret? Because birds talk to me all the time.
The trader says.
Oh, it's not I, but my brother there who knows. If your majesty there would ask him.
But before the words were out of his mouth, the king had struck a blow with his scepter on a gold plate that hung on the wall. The king shouted.
Well, I order Jose to appear here before me in an instant.
He shouted at the servant who ran to obey his orders. So great was the noise that his majesty had made, and when Jose entered the hall, wondering what in the world could be the matter, the king was nearly dumb from rage and excitement.
Oh, hello.
The king stammered.
Bring me the Princess Bellafleur this instant, for if you return without her, I'll have you drowned.
And without another word, he left the hall, leaving Jose staring with surprise and horror. Jose thought,
why, we may want them for ourselves.
No.
Nope, that is not the thing. How can I find the Princess Bellafleur when I have never seen her? But it is no use staying here, for I shall only be put to death.
And he walked slowly to the stables to choose himself a horse. There were rows upon rows of the finest beasts with their names written in gold above their stalls, and Jose was looking uncertainly from one to the other, wondering which he should choose, when an old white horse turned its head and sighed at him to approach. It gently whispered,
Take me, and all will go well.
Jose still felt so bewildered with the mission that the king had given him that he forgot to be astonished at hearing a horse talk.
I shouldn't have took that acid before this trip.
Mechanically, he laid his hand on the bridle and led the white horse out of the stable. He was about to mount on its back when the animal spoke again.
Pick up those 3 loaves of bread which you see there and put them in your pocket.
Pocket bread.
Jose did as he was told, and being in a great hurry to get away, asked no questions, but swung himself into the saddle, and they rode far without meeting any adventures. But at length they came to an anthill, and the horse stopped and said,
Crumble those 3 loaves for the ants.
But Jose hesitated.
Why? We may want them for ourselves.
The horse says,
We may.
Never mind that. Give them the ants all the same. Do not lose a chance of helping others. And when the loaves lay in crumbs on the road...
Oops. And when the loaves laid in crumbs on the road, the horse galloped on. By and by, they entered a rocky pass between the mountains. And here they saw an eagle which had been caught in the hunter's net. The horse says,
Get down and cut the meshes from the net and set the poor bird free.
Jose objected, saying,
But it may take too long, and we might miss the princess.
The horse says,
Never mind that. Do not lose a chance of helping others.
And when the meshes were cut, the eagle was free, the horse galloped on. They had ridden many miles, and at last they came to a river where they beheld a little fish gasping on the sand, and the horse says,
Do you see that little fish? It will die if you don't put it back in the water.
Jose says,
That sounds like it's just Darwinism at its finest. That is how creatures evolve. Sometimes the weak must die. We will never find the Princess Bellafleur, if we waste our time like this.
The horse replied,
We never waste time when we're helping others.
And soon the little fish was, I feel like I'm doing like a My Little Pony song.
I know, exactly. It's like the nice, the children's TV show horse. We gotta stop and help each other. It just sings a song every time.
For real. Maybe I should make it in song
But I am a
form.
male prostitute who may be killed if I do not return with the princess. But we gotta stop and help our friends so we can all get together.
And sing.
And sing. Yay!
Fuck.
I feel like we are from different stories.
A little while after they reached a castle, which was built in the middle of a very thick wood, and right in front was the Princess Bellafleur feeding her hens. The horse said with caution,
Now listen, I'm going to give all sorts of little hops and skips, which will amuse the Princess Bellafleur. Then she will tell you that she would like to ride a little way, and you must help her mount. When she is seated, I shall begin to neigh and kick, and you must say that I have never carried a woman before, and that you have had a better get up behind, so as to be able to manage me. Once on my back, we will go like the wind to the king's palace.
Jose did exactly as the horse told him.
I'll distract her with a song of friendship.
Jose did exactly as the horse told him, and everything came together as the animal prophesied. So that it was not until that they were galloping breathlessly towards the palace that the princess knew that she was taken captive. She said nothing. She said nothing, however, but quietly opened her apron, which contained the bran for the chickens, and in a moment it lay scattered on the ground. She cries,
Normally it's a rescue mission when they do these kinds of stories, not an abduction.
Yeah.
This story just took a weird... I sang her the song of friendship and then I hit her over the head. We took her. Oh my bran has fallen from my pockets. Please get down and pick it up for me.
Jose answers,
We will find plenty of bran where we are going.
and the horse gallops on. They were now passing through a forest, and when the princess took out her handkerchief and threw it upwards so that it stuck in one of the topmost branches of the tree, the princess says,
Dear me, how stupid I am. I have let my handkerchief blow away. Will you climb up there and get it for me?
but Jose answered,
We will find plenty of handkerchiefs while we are going.
and the horse galloped on. After the wood, they reached a river, and the princess slipped the ring off her finger and let it roll into the water. She gasped and began to cry and said,
Oh no, how careless of me. I've lost my favorite ring. Do you mind stopping for a second and looking for it so you can see it, and then maybe running into that quick stop, getting me a pack of Virginia Slims and a couple of scratcher tickets?
But Jose answered,
You will find plenty of rings and scratcher tickets and cigarettes where we are going.
and the horse galloped on.
Nay.
At last, they entered the palace gates, and the king's heart bounded with joy at beholding his beloved Princess Bellafleur.
Look, I've kidnapped you.
But the princess brushed him aside as if he had been a fly, and locked herself into her nearest room, which she would not open for all the entreaties.
Just so you know, my father is Liam Neeson's.
All she would say was,
You know, from the Taken movies, the old guy. Well, bring me the 3 things I lost on the way, and maybe a pack of Virginia Slims and some scratchers, and then stop by the liquor store and get some vodka and tonic water. And then maybe I'll think about it.
And in despair, the king was driven to take counsel of Jose. The king says,
There is no remedy that I can see except for that you go back and get it for me, or I'll probably, kill you. Because that's the kind of thing I do. I'll have you beheaded, and your naked body will be dragged behind a horse, or something fun like that. Maybe I'll just attach you. I'll attach you to 100 geese, and I'll let them go, and they'll just fly you over the city.
wow.
Yeah.
All she would, I'm sorry. Poor Jose was so much troubled at these words that he thought that he had done all that was required of him and that his life was safe. However, he bowed low and went out to consult his friend the horse. The horse says,
Do not vex yourself. Hop up, and we will go and look for the things.
and Jose mounted at once, and they rode on until they came to the anthill. And then the horse asked,
Would you like to have...
oh, shit.
Would you like to have the bread?
Jose asked.
What is the use of liking?
The horse says.
What is the use of this?
The horse says,
Well, call the ants and tell them to fetch it for you. And if some of it has been scattered by the wind, to bring it in its stead the grains that were in the cakes you gave them.
Jose listened in surprise. He did not much believe the horse's plan, but he would not think of anything better. So he called to the ants and bade them to collect the bran as fast as they could.
And I sing a friendship song.
Then he saw under a tree and waited, and the horse cropped the green turf. The horse says,
Look there.
Suddenly raising its head, Jose looked behind him and saw a little mountain of bran, which he put into a bag that was hung over his saddle. You got something funny?
Sorry, now carry on.
The horse, observing, says,
Good deeds bear fruit sooner or later. But mount again, as we have far to go.
When they
Let's
arrived,
sing a song about it.
when they arrived at the tree, they saw the handkerchief fluttering like a flag from the topmost branch. And Jose's spirit sank again. Jose asked,
How am I to get that handkerchief? I would need to get a Jacob's ladder.
The
Which
horse
is a series of piercings that go up and down the shaft area.
The horse answered, I didn't think that's what the movie was about.
yeah, that's what the movie's about. Careful, don't watch that movie. It's plot twist. There's no penis piercings in that movie.
The horse answered,
Do not be frightened. Call to the eagle you set free from the net. He will bring it to you.
Eagle, to me!
So Jose called to the eagle, and the eagle flew to the top of the tree and brought back the handkerchief in its beak. Jose thanked him, and vaulting on the horse, they rode on to the river. A great deal of rain had befallen that night in the river. Instead of being clear as it was before, it was dark and troubled. Jose asked helplessly,
How am I to fetch the ring from the bottom of this river? But I do not know where exactly it was dropped, and I cannot even see it.
The horse answered,
Do not be frightened. Call the little fish whose life you saved, and she will bring it to you.
Little fish!
So he called to the fish, and the fish dived to the bottom and slipped behind big stones, and moved little ones, all with its tail, and then it found the ring, and brought it to Jose in its mouth. Well pleased with all that he had done, Jose returned to the palace. But when the king took the precious objects for Bella Flor, she declared that she would never open the door until the bandit who had carried her off had been fried in oil.
I won't even.
The king says to Jose,
I am very sorry. I would rather not, but you see, I have no choice. The oil's already hot. I've heated it up. I can't turn off the fire and cool it down.
While the oil was being heated in the great cauldron, Jose went to the stables to inquire of his friend, the horse, if there was no way for him to escape. The horse says,
Do not be frightened. Get on my back, and I will gallop till my whole body is wet with Precipitation.
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 No, perspiration. That's the word. Perception. Precipitation. Perspiration.
Perspiration, thank you. And then rub it all over your skin.
Ew.
And no matter how hot the oil may be, you will never feel it.
I'm all covered in horse sweat.
Jose did not ask any more questions, but did as the horse bade him. The man wondered at his cheerful face as they lowered him into the cauldron of boiling oil. He was left there till Bella Flor cried that he must be cooked enough. Then came out a youth so young and handsome that everyone fell in love with him, and Bella Flor most of all.
But now I'm still hungry. I want some fried chicken wings with some ranch.
He went from looking like, what's his name? Fucking Tom Hanks on Castaway to fucking The Rock.
Yeah. or
all the oil burned everything else away, right?
A better, another one would be he went from looking like Steven Seagal now to looking like Antonio Banderas in the 90s.
Oh, yeah. Heyo. That's my favorite
Antonio.
I forgot where we were.
I know, Antonio Banderas has that effect.
I know.
I forgot where I'm at, and now I got the vapors.
As for the old king, he saw that he had lost the game, and in despair he flung himself into the cauldron and was fried instead of Jose.
Well, I guess I should just jump in here too if it's not cooking people,
And
right?
then came out the Joker. Then Jose was proclaimed king, on condition that he married Bella Flor, and which he promised to do the next day. But first he went to the stables and sought out the horse, and said to him,
It is you that I owe my life and crown. Why have you done all of this for me?
The horse answered,
Friendship.
I am the soul of the sickly man for whom you kept all your fortune. And when I saw you in danger of death, I begged that I might come help you, as you have helped me. For as I told you, good deeds bear their own fruit.
Friendship. Friendship.
Da-da-da-da.
We're all friends. Yay. The king's body is just slowly frying in oil.
I told you,
There's
he
two
pops
different
out the
stories
Joker.
here. Yeah.
He pops out the Joker, dude.
I like to imagine he just watched what happened to the dude, and then he was dumb enough that he's like, well, I might as well try it.
I know, right?
What'll he do?
It's the Rick and Morty shit. That's so fucked.
Yeah. Just remember,
The vat
jump
of
into the
acid.
third vat of acid. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was a fun one. That was by Andy Lang. Andrew Lang.
Welcome back, buddy.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Yeah, hope you folks enjoyed that little trio of Spanish tales for you there.
Mm-hmm.
We're working on some cool stuff. Gonna have some cool stuff coming down the pipeline in the future.
Yeah,
We're working on Aladdin and the Wonderful Lamp.
that one's a trip.
That one's a trip. It's not the Disney movie. Just to warn you guys ahead of time.
Nothing like it.
Nothing like it. Just
Not even the
Yeah.
character.
the fact that people called Disney out for being racist after reading the original story was like, well, no, they really did a good job of cutting out a lot of that
it, yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's unique.
Yeah.
And definitely racist.
Yeah. But
But anyway,
yeah, old story. It's one of those that's actually we have to cover because it's from the 1001 Nights. Yeah.
I got a
But
few of those coming for you guys.
yeah, trying to get back into that.
Probably
we're gonna
go back some Norse again.
some Norse. Yeah, we're gonna do some Pegasus Bellerophon.
And then we're
at some
looking
point.
at some Native Americans again.
Yeah. Yeah. We're gonna be moving around the globe.
We're going to keep going.
Keep going, trying to hit some more mythologies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if you like us, be sure to tell your friends. Tell everyone. We love you guys. We appreciate all of our fans out there.
Yeah.
You guys are amazing.
Thank you.
And you keep us going. And we're gonna just keep going.
I mean, we can go more if you want to donate.
We can go. If you want to go, we can go.
Just tip us?
Yeah. Yeah. There's also going to be some other cool stuff coming out. Yeah. Gonna have our tip jar come out. Maybe work on some Patreon stuff. Possibly have some merch.
Yes.
Yeah. And we'll
gonna
be
be
sure to
exciting.
tell you folks where to find all that amazing stuff.
Find us on Twitter.
Twitter. Yeah. Twitter's probably the best. At
Instagram.
Howley Boys. HAOLE_BOYS. Instagram, Facebook, Howley Boys Productions.
And then we'll usually tag out on that.
Yeah.
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 You guys have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.